In the 15th century, travelers called the Kazakh Khanate as a house with two gates. According to them, the first gates open up in the east near the border with the Mongol tribe the Oirats, where the Central Asian section of the Great Silk Way commenced. That is why it is quite symbolic that precisely here, after 5 centuries, on the territory of modern Kazakhstan, the Special Economic Zone, Horgos Eastern Gates, was created. According to the ancient travelers, the second gate of the Kazakh Khanate was the eastern part of the Caspian Sea, where ships from distant countries arrived. Today, the Aktau International Trade Seaport functions here, one of the main transport and logistics brands of Kazakhstan. Hello, my name is Oleg Boldarev, and you're watching The Route to the Future.
Путь в будущее.
Hyrcanian, Khvalynsk, Khazar, Derbent. In ancient times, the Caspian Sea had around 70 names. Some of them are used to this day. The area of the biggest basin lake in the world is 371,000 square kilometers. This area can be compared with the territory of countries such as Italy, Poland, or Belarus. The maximum depth of the Caspian Sea is 1,025 meters. In this respect, the Caspian is second only to the Russian Baikal and the Tanganyika Lake, which is located in Central Africa. The waters of the Caspian bathe the shores of 5 states: Iran, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Russia, and Kazakhstan. The longest shoreline, with a distance of 2,340 kilometers, is part of the territory of our country. 810 kilometers of the shoreline pass through the Mangistau region. Coming up next, the Caspian vector of logistics, and why does the route to the future pass through the Aktau port? Each city in Kazakhstan has its own unique symbol. The coat of arms of Aktau depicts a shield that is divided into 4 equal parts. There is an oil tower, the core of an atom with orbital rings, a flask, and a milling cutter. And finally, the silhouette of a ship. Precisely this element symbolizes the best today's status of Aktau, which is the main sea harbor of the country. Kazakhstan is considered to be a country of limitless vast space. It is hard to argue with this. The country is ranked 5th in the world in terms of the territory of pasture lands. But thanks to the Caspian Sea, today Kazakhstan is actively developing its sea communications. Here, through the Aktau International Sea Trade Port, the country's window to international export markets opens.
Единственный порт международного значения.
This is the only international seaport. That is why it is called the Gates. From here, ships head out towards foreign lands, and they also arrive from other countries and register here. This is where all the international shipping operations happen.
Что называется международным шиппингом.
Out of the 27 ports of the Caspian Sea, the Aktau port is one of the biggest. It manages 30% of the entire cargo turnover of the Caspian. Transshipment of export products such as oil products, metal, and grains is organized here. The main destinations of the cargo are the ports of Russia, Azerbaijan, and Iran. And the cargo volumes vary depending on the economic and political circumstances. One of the latest trends is the lifting of sanctions from Iran, and as a result, the rise in the volume of Kazakhstan's exports to this country. If at the beginning of the year, Kazakhstan's main producer of metal, Arcelormittal, declared that 1 million tons of their cargo will pass through our port, right now we're talking about 1,200,000 tons, and the prospective future, 1,500,000 tons. Just like in any other sphere, the sphere of sea shipments cannot be effective without diversification. In the recent times, the Aktau port is more often becoming an alternative transit route for cargo coming from Europe and China. That is why the bets are placed on the development of infrastructure. The infrastructure of the Aktau International Sea Trade Port includes the necessary engineering structures, communications, equipment, and technology. The port has 12 piers, a transit warehouse, a platform for the transshipment of scrap metal and granulated cargo, 6 bridge cranes, and equipment for the liquidation of oil spills. The profile of the Aktau port includes work with granulated and liquid cargo. Of its 12 piers, 4 are oil loading. Their total capacity is 10.4 million tons of oil annually. For the transshipment of grain, a special terminal is used. Its capacity, 600,000 tons. The Aktau International Sea Trade Port can service up to 9 ships simultaneously. In addition, its infrastructure allows the port to process railway trains and large tonnage transport. With the realization of the project Western Europe, Western China, the transit capacity of the port has increased substantially. For example, before, 400 trucks were processed here annually. Today, the same number of large tonnage vehicles is processed in just 2 weeks. In 2015, 5,897,000 tons of cargo passed through the Aktau seaport. Within the framework of the national Nurlazhol strategy, today this port is becoming a key component in the entire transport system of Kazakhstan. Its strategic task is to become the sea transit corridor for ground-shipped goods coming from China in the western direction through Kazakhstan's shore of the Caspian. And one of the solutions to this task is the expansion of the port in its northern part. The process of expansion of the Aktau International Sea Trade Port is being realized in 3 stages. During the first 2, it is planned to build protective hydrotechnical structures and to conduct dredging works. And all these stages have already been completed. Today's work is part of the 3rd stage. Within its framework, on the territory of the port, large dry cargo structures are being built, including a terminal for grain. Within the program for expansion, 3 piers were built that span for 600 meters, a container platform, which occupies a territory of 100,000 square meters, as well as a new grain terminal, supplementary storages, and structures. In addition, dredging works were conducted. The body of water was deepened to 6 meters, which allows even the biggest ships to enter the Caspian Sea, with a load-bearing capacity of up to 5,000 tons and over 5,000 tons. The north terminal of the Aktau International Sea Trade Port is made up of 2 complexes, container and reloading. The first is intended for the transshipment of containers and general cargo, products which are being transported in single piece. The capacity of the container complex, 1.5 million tons of cargo per year.
Перегрузочный комплекс зерна состоит из 6 силосов с единовременным хранением.
The grain transshipment complex has 6 silo tanks, where 60,000 tons of grain can be stored and 500 tons transshipped per hour. The annual capacity is 1.5 million tons.
1,5 миллиона тонн в год.
Coming up next in the program, the Aktau Seaport as a connecting link of the international transport corridors. The Aktau Seaport is located at the intersection of a number of big transport corridors: Trey-Seka, north-south, east-west. From here, cargo that comes from China through Kazakhstan's Horgoz center then travels further on across the sea to Iran, Russia, Azerbaijan, or by transit through Georgia into Turkey and other countries of Europe. The geographic location of the Aktau port works in favor of the new format of the Great Silk Way. It entails creation of a unified transmodal system of cargo transport in the interests of the interregional club of countries. Aside from Kazakhstan and pre-Caspian states, it may potentially include the countries of Southeast Asia, the Persian Gulf, as well as the countries located in the basins of the Black and Mediterranean Seas.
В ноябре прошлого года в Стамбуле между Турецкой Республикой и Китайской Народной Республикой был подписан меморандум.
In November of last year in Istanbul, a memorandum was signed between Turkey and China on the so-called Midway route, which stipulates that both China and Turkey intend to use the transit potential of Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and Georgia in order to develop trade turnover between these 2 large countries.
Товарооборот между этими 2 крупнейшими странами.
The Aktau Seaport is one of the participants of the Intergovernmental Program for the Development of the Transport Corridor Europe, Caucasus, Asia, which is called Trey-Seka. Today, within the framework of this program, along the route Aktau-Baku, a ferry line operates. Its transit capacity is up to 2 million tons of cargo annually. Right now, various routes are being developed, which pass through the countries of the Transcaucasia and are redirected towards us. We're also working on these routes within the framework of the International Transit Corridor, TITR. TITR is the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route. It provides for transport communication between China and Europe through Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey. By the way, Turkey's participation in this project sets the necessary conditions for Kazakhstan for an alternative route, not only to southern Europe, but also countries of the other continent.
Turkey for Kazakhstan is the gateway to a huge Mediterranean basin. You have Africa, which is developing tremendously. There will come a time when Kazakhstan will look to open to Africa. How will it open to Africa? The best way, the easiest way is going to be via the Mediterranean, via Turkey, to North Africa, and from there beyond.
The Trans-Caspian International Transport route commences in the Chinese port Lianyungang, which is located in the Yellow Sea. Kazakhstan's section commences at the pre-border station Dostok. Further on, the path passes along the south of Kazakhstan in the direction of Aktau. The route is multimodal because the transport of cargo is realized by land and by sea. From the Aktau port, containers are shipped across the Caspian to Azerbaijan and Georgia and on in the direction of Europe. In comparison with the transit through the Suez Canal, this route is more effective. Experts consider the junction of the two largest infrastructural objects, the dry port Korgos Gateway and Aktau International Sea Trade Port, as the route of the future. By the way, the company DP World was contracted as a consultant on the effective integration of these two entities.
DP World – это одна из крупнейших логистических.
DP World is one of the biggest logistics companies in the world. It manages the Dubai Free Economic Zone and overall half of Dubai, if not more. This is their creation. They built it using their own funds. Therefore, this is a very powerful company which has 70 ports on all 6 continents and 43 intercontinental logistics complexes.
Внутриматериковых.
Coming up next, the place where the ships harbor.
В 140 километрах от Актау в северном направлении.
143 kilometers away from Aktau, in the northern direction, the Bautuno port is located in the Bautinsky Bay. As it is known, the Sea Gulf serves as a good protection for the pier. That is why the Bautuno port specializes in the shipping of oil-loading tankers, operations of which require first and foremost safety. The Bautuno Sea Trade Port is a branch of the Aktau International Sea Trade Port. Its area is 15,000 square meters. Around 7% of the territory is a storage area. The transit capacity of the port is up to 200,000 items of cargo annually. Among these ships moored to the pier of the Bautinsky Bay, there are ships of the domestic company Caspian Offshore Construction. Overall, the company owns 20 ships. This includes tugboats, flotels, research vessels, and icebreaker ships.
5 месяцев в году Северный Каспий замерзает и покрывается льдом толщиной до 1 метра. Что в принципе...
For 5 months a year, the northern region of the Caspian Sea freezes and gets covered in a layer of ice that is 1 meter in thickness. Therefore, this means that our fleet has to have ships with an ice class in order to be able to operate all year round. And because of this, our fleet should have shallow draft boats.
И в соответствии с этим наш флот еще должен быть мелкосидящим, то есть обладать мелкой осадкой, малой осадкой, что называется.
This beautiful ship is the Mangistau II icebreaker. The ship crew is headed by Mikhail Gorelov. The team considers its captain a true sea wolf. This is because Mikhail has over 30 years of experience at sea. I came to the Bautuno port in 1984, 32 years ago, after nautical school, and since then have been working at sea. I was first a fisherman, then was employed by Caspian Shelf when the development was commenced, and I've been working at the Caspian Offshore Construction for 6 years already. Mangistau II is one of the 5 icebreaker and emergency rescue tugboats which were modeled specifically for servicing the Kashagan, the largest oil deposit field in Kazakhstan's Caspian Shelf. The icebreakers of this model can tug boats in tough conditions of the northern Caspian, where the thickness of the ice reaches 60 centimeters. The ship is very powerful, very maneuverable, has 3 propellers, 2 control units, thus it can move sideways, backward and forward. The propellers turn to 180 degrees, and even sideways can move at a speed of 4 knots, or 3 kilometers per hour. In 2016, the company Caspian Offshore Construction is planning to purchase 2 new tugboats and to build its own synchro lift. This machine is intended for the lifting and loading of ships for the transport of sea operations in the Bautuno pier.
Корабли, как и автомобили...
Ships, like cars, require on-time maintenance service. It depends not only on the delivery time of cargo, but also on the exploitation period of expensive ships and the safety of their crew. So, Kazakhstan's base for support of sea operations is also located in the Bautino port. This is where the ships are patched up, repaired, and once again prepared for duty.
И снова отправляет в строй.
Maintenance service in the Bautino port are performed by the company Tanis Service. This company specializes in the support of sea operations. On average, up to 600 ships are serviced annually. This includes oil tankers, tugboats, motor vessels, excavatory and small-sized ships. The company's infrastructure includes a number of different objects.
Причал длиной 470 метров, ремонт.
A pier with a length of 470 meters, repair shops, fire safety stations, warehouse facilities, storage containers, and administrative buildings.
Административные объекты.
Coming up next, new energy of the Kuruk port, or where the railways meet the sea. The Kuruk port is located in the eastern part of the Caspian, next to a similarly named town, and from the side of the sea, it is bathed by the waters of the Kazakh Gulf. The geographic conditions here are ideal for maritime traffic. The bay does not freeze, its depth is sufficient enough, and has an optimal wind diagram. In addition, not far from here, just 11 kilometers away, the new railway line Beyneu-Janauzian passes. The Kuruk port has other advantages. It has a lot of free territory. The length of the shoreline is almost 14 kilometers, and the potential area for construction is 20 hectares. These conditions create great prospects for the development of the port. For Kazakhstan's logistics, this is a key factor, especially considering that by 2020, all the countries of the Caspian region are planning to raise the capacities of their ports on average by 1.5 times. The construction of the Kuruk ferry line and the railway section is being realized within the framework of Kazakhstan's Nurluzhol strategy. The project is being led by the multimodal operator KTZ Express. This enterprise is part of the national company Kazakhstan TV-eng. The Kuruk ferry line is a unique project not only within Kazakhstan, but also the entire Central Asia. Its main task is the transshipment of containers to countries bordering the Caspian region. And this will be realized directly, without unloading and without prepositioning of cargo. The containers will be delivered to the ferry line stations in rolling stocks from the Yersai station. For the realization of this, today from the Kuruk port, a railway line, Barzakta-Yersai, is being laid. The length of the Barzakta-Yersai section is almost 14 kilometers. For a railway line, this is quite modest. However, this section is of strategic importance for the formation of the regional hub. It will become the connecting link between two communication lines, railway and sea. With its use, Kazakhstan will be able to increase the transit capacity of cargo destined for the Caspian region.
Состав будет подъезжать сюда, пирс.
The cargo will be delivered here to the pier, and from here across the waters of the Caspian Sea, in the southern direction towards Turkmenistan, Iran, and in the western direction towards Russia and Azerbaijan. The ferry complex will specialize in the transshipment of containers of grains, oil products, fertilizers, chemicals, and other exported products. The project capacity of the complex is 4 million tons of cargo annually. Together, the ferry line Kuruk and the railway line Barzakta-Yersai will ensure multimodal transport of cargo. The project is expected to be completed by the end of this year. According to experts, the use of the ferry complex will become a new shipping route in the turbulent transit sea, not just for Kazakhstan, but the entire Caspian region.
Вода усталости не знает. Эта поговорка как нельзя лучше.
Water knows no rest. This saying is the most appropriate for expressing the potential of sea communication. Kazakhstan is one of the participants of the Caspian Sea Pool. That is why today, the country is putting efforts into optimizing its logistics base in order to ensure an entrance onto new sales markets. This is what is happening near its western gates. You are watching The Route to the Future. Until next time on Route, which opens up new possibilities for Kazakhstan.